amazing talks coming up this week, including the one I'm about to start now with Patch and Dee Linden, who are my Lindens to meet today. So, Patch and Dee, thank you for coming.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, that's my pleasure. And I'd like to start by asking both of you how you came to work at Linden Lab. What were you doing, and what led you to becoming a Linden Lab employee?
Well, I guess I can go first. I was originally a resident in Second Life before becoming a Linden, and I actually owned a fairly large clothing business. I did that as my main source of income for several years, and through my work in Second Life, I also did a lot of volunteering. I was a Second Life mentor, and I enjoyed helping residents, especially new residents, so much get acquainted with Second Life that I decided to apply. And that's kind of where it all started.
How about you, Dee?
Well, I was a resident. I first stepped ugly virtual toes in Second Life in 2002. And yes, they are ugly virtual toes. We can all admit that. And I looked around and I said, whoa, this is cool. Now, at that time, there were maybe 10, 11 people in world at a time, and 8 or 9 of them would be Lindens. So we got a lot of personal attention, and here's how you do this and how you do that. And I went, oh, yeah, I have to be part of this. So that's when I started dropping note cards on basically all Lindens every day saying, hey, here's my resume. Hire me. Hire me. You really want to hire me now? Now? You know, and yeah, it finally happened.
Right. How long did it take you to convince them?
Well, I was actually offered the job 3 times before it took, and I could actually take the job. So it took about 3 years all total.
Which are quite a few of the Lindens actually residents who've moved in permanently into that position? Or is it about, do people come from other areas as well?
Well, we've had a and more recently a fair mix, and possibly more of the recent Lindens that have come from other various sources and industries and stuff. But back in the early days, especially, and even when I first became a Linden, a lot of us did come from the resident community. Because we were most familiar with our own product, and Linden, I think, kind of prided itself on tapping that as a resource to find good talent from.
And of course, you still involve residents in Linden programs because you head up the moles, don't you? And the Linden Department of Public Works.
Yes.
Perhaps you could explain a bit about what that is for people who may not know.
So the moles in the Linden Department of Public Works is a community-sourced, kind of crowdsourced internal project team that we have working with us on various content projects that we do for the community. Probably one of our more recent memorable ones would have been the winter Wonderland regions that we had brought out this past holiday season and into the beginning of the year with the snowball fights and stuff that I know I actually see some familiar names in the crowd that I think were the subject of my yellow snowball throwing. But we do things like maintain the mainland, Linden realms, our other various experiences that are led off from the Portal Park regions, and a lot of the gifts and things that we put together and hand back out to the community through various projects, such as the Second Life 12 avatar that I've seen running around a lot, was put together by my team.
Right, that's great. And there are some fantastic mole bills, aren't there, to be explored, especially on the mainland?
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch. It's almost too numerous to list. I can only say that one of the best ways to kind of explore and enjoy them is to look up the wiki page about the moles in the LDPW, and we have a lot of them listed there. And just run around and go exploring. There's so much out there that it's almost kind of mind-boggling. There's many regions.
And really unusual and different things that you don't think about. I know that when I started wandering around, I found a complete creepy carnival, and what else? There was a whole Greek village. I spent a very happy
Yep.
evening wandering around in the middle of the Sea of Fables.
Yep. Some pretty awesome places out there.
It's worth going. It's worth taking a look and going and seeing. I'd recommend it to the audience if you want to do and explore some of these. Some of them are very old now, aren't they?
Yeah. The team has been working on putting those projects and those builds together now for going on well over 5 years, I believe. And even before then, and before like the Mole and LDPW program was kind of officiated, we were still working with folks in the community to build out various content pieces and stuff over time. So a lot of it is kind of getting up there in age, but that's okay because I like history.
Yeah, me too. Some of the old builds on the mainland are still so good. Really cool to go and see. I was going to ask, how does one become a mole? Do you kind of get tapped on the shoulder and drop all that you're doing and follow you off into the horizon? Or
sometimes it's very organic, and it's really kind of I kind of take pride in how we find moles and stuff. It's a pretty neat process. We both have folks who come to us and say, hey, I see what you're doing here, and I'm really interested in maybe participating. How can I help? We can be wandering around shopping in a content creator store, and they're just of course flabbergasted when Lindens show up and buy their stuff, and they're like, I never knew that Lindens could go shopping in World. And the conversation starts somewhere in that kind of context of, well, yeah, you know what, you've got some really great stuff, and if you're ever interested, come talk to us. And we sometimes get some folks that way, and word of mouth references from current moles are also very handy. So several different places that we tend to get folks from.
right. And Dee, with you, do you recruit people for land, or are you kind of in charge of that on your own? How does your area work?
No, we have a team: Guy, Kira, myself, Michael, and we work the requests that come in for abandoned land. And when we can, we sell it direct. When we can't, we send it to auction. And that's what's going on with abandoned land with that sort of request. We also get all of the requests for educational and nonprofit islands. And so we vet those for the discount if they qualify. And I create those islands and get those over to them.
I come across you, yes, because with 1 Billion Rising, we got a couple of islands from you this year, and that was a very smooth process. So I was going to say, yes, what does your job entail? And you've kind of given us a rundown on that. And Patch, yours is working with the moles. Are there any other things that you're doing as well?
Well, I have quite a few responsibilities that kind of roll up into my umbrella as senior manager for product operations, and that's specifically tied to land and accounts and Second Life. The entire land operations team, which, as Dee mentioned, consists of herself, Kira, Guy, Michael, and the moles, all do roll up into my umbrella. But then I also maintain daily operational oversight on everything that happens with land and accounts within Second Life. So that's everything from product to promotions on premium accounts to general daily decisions on how we make maybe decide to have to sell somebody a parcel of land, or operationally, remove or add regions to the grid, and things all kind of roll up into my house. So.
That sounds pretty challenging. I was going to ask you what project you've both found most enjoyable.
The project, well, there's probably too many to kind of list, but I can tell you probably some of my favorite, most recent projects are some of our bigger community-based experiences. The one that I'm currently working on now, and that the entire group is working on now, I can't really talk too much about it because it's due out for release in July.
Okay.
Is going to be a big one, on the scale of being bigger than Linden Realms. I can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a great experience and game. The winter regions, the winter Wonderland regions that we did recently were a lot of fun, and I think we had a lot of great community engagement and some good times out of that. And probably being able to go through and redesign some of our other older experiences and fix them and keep them maintained, I think have probably been some of the more fun ones that we've done recently.
Right.
I loved the Halloween ride.
I did that, and that was beyond creepy. That was approaching Grand Guignol. It was blood everywhere. Yeah, Patch brought it back for Designing World specially so I could try it out.
Yeah, and I
It
can
was a
probably
lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can probably throw out a little teaser about that too. It will be back, and it will be bigger.
But it can't be bloodier. I mean, it would not be possible to be bloodier.
No. The edition I think that we're looking at making probably will not be quite as gory.
So, which project? So, would you say that was your favorite project too, Dee, or have you got another one?
That was probably my favorite. Yeah, that and the Winter Wonderland, because that snowball fight was just way too much fun.
Oh, it was great, wasn't it? Yes, but you certainly take a lot of punishment, because the last time I saw you, you were actually in jail.
Oh, for one of the relay.
Yes, for Fantasy
Fair, wasn't it?
Yes,
yes. Those are always a lot of fun too. I work with all the rental requests that come in. So a lot of them for Relay for Life throughout the year, and so I always feel like they're kind of my babies, and try to get over to them at least once during the events.
Right. Yes, but. Well, it was great to see you. It was good fun to see you. And sorry, I just had something rush into my vision and then rush out again. I was going to ask, what has been most challenging about, would you say, in the things that you've done?
I think out of everything that I've worked on, some of the most challenging aspects we have is probably just the scale of technicalities we have behind, actually making some of our projects come together. When you think about the scale of, the experience of something on the order of the magnitude of like Linden Realms, where you've got 6 plus, 8, 12 regions that are all having to cohesively function with scripted systems across all of the various game elements that make that entire experience function, keeping that kind of held together and keeping that running over the long term, which now has been going on for several years, does certainly, present a challenge. Some people, especially those who are in any kind of software development, talk about things like, technical debt and overhead and stuff, and, things just kind of aging to the point to where you want to rewrite it. Those are the types of things that we face with something that's aged like Linden Realms. and we're always mindful of that in our design because we learned a lot from it back then, and we continue to learn from it today. That we want to try to apply our best practices and how we design these things going forward to maybe be a little less maintenance intensive, for the future. So I think that's probably been one of our biggest challenges is maintaining content in general across the board to generationally survive, over the, I can now say, decade or more of Second Life.
Yes, that's scary, isn't it?
Yes.
Um, that brings me on to a question that I've had from one of the audience, Mystery Melon, saying that will moles be allowed to build in the Linden village because it's so big and empty just now? Or
That's something that we've been thinking about. And I can't blow the lid off of our plans or anything like that. But because we are responsible for, and my team's responsible for everything that happens out there, especially when you think about, communal areas and stuff like that across the mainland. There's a lot of places like that, for example, that could probably use some rehabilitation and have a little bit of work put into it. So it is something that we've got in the back of our mind, and we have a task list that's a mile long.
Oh, I can imagine.
When I look at our roadmap, our Second Life content development roadmap goes out years, and we have no plans to slow that down. So it is there, it is out there in the future somewhere. It's just a matter of when we can get to it versus other project priorities that kind of fall in place, like us doing the huge project that I've now alluded to a couple of times.
That we're not going.
That's going to come out next month. So.
Okay, well, we need to grab you for a Designing World show about that, I think.
I think we should.
Now, I was going to ask, I would say, just to bring up one of my favourite areas, which is getting a bit decayed, and that's Wengen. Those old winter sims, which I love, with the ski runs and everything, and some of the ski lifts are a bit broken now.
Yeah, the ski lifts are actually another maintenance task. We started to work on repairing them, and we had to kind of put that off on hold while we worked on. Actually, we were working on that before we undertook the current project that we're on. We were working on that kind of in between the Winter Wonderland regions and the project that we're on now.
Right. Well, it'd be lovely to see Wengen again, just because you built such excellent ski runs there and bobsleigh runs and things.
Yes.
So, Dee, if I can come to you, what was your most challenging project, would you say?
Basically just keeping all the projects in the air at the same time. There hasn't been any one specific most challenging thing going on. Sometimes deciphering what I'm being asked, like when I receive a map from someone, this is how they want their regions arranged, but they don't tell me that on their map, north is where I think east is. So that's actually happened, yes.
Oh, goodness, yes, I can see that would be... Yes, you're being quoted now that you're admitting that system toes are ugly. This could be a headline on a blog tomorrow,
Well, it's been really nice working with all of you then.
I thought actually it was you saying that your real life toes were ugly. That you.
Oh, no. My real life toes are gorgeous. You can ask anyone who knows me.
I'm sure they are. So what I'm going to say is, I think that you two probably have more time than some of the other Lindens to enjoy yourself in Second Life, because you're doing fun things. I have to test this new area. Yeah, I have to throw snowballs here just to make sure they're working properly. But I was going to say, do you have time to enjoy yourself in Second Life? And do you have any hobbies? Is there something that you like to do in Second Life?
We make time to enjoy ourselves in Second Life. Because like Pat said, and I said earlier, we're residents first. We've been residents longer than most of the people who are listening right now. We like to go shopping. We like to drop into various clubs and dance, or just go like to Mole Bureau and start dancing and see who shows up. We do. We have a good time.
That's cool. And you, to Patch?
Well, I think well, and I agree with what Dee said. You know, we like to go out and hang out a lot within the community and stuff like that. We actually kind of have kind of an unsaid thing that we do, and that's called Fun Day Fridays. And on Fridays, usually kind of middle of the day, just depending on how busy we are and what's going on, we will actually pick a place and go hang out at that location for as long as time permits. And that can actually be anywhere from Social Island to one of the welcome areas to a residence store, coffee shop, whatever comes up. We kind of take like little team field trips and stuff like that, and sometimes all of us will actually go out and kind of check someplace out, hang out, chat with people, and just kind of generally engage with folks.
So do you do that on your mains, or do you have alts for kind of going out on Fun Day Friday?
Well, we do that actually from our Linden accounts. And then as far as personally, I don't have with as much time as I spend in Second Life as my Linden, I don't actually spend a lot of time in World on my resident alt anymore, which is, I hate saying that, and it's actually kind of painful, but I only log in if I've got some maintenance stuff I've got to deal with my islands and stuff.
Right. But you have fun as Patch, so it's not as though you miss out on that.
Exactly.
And do you have any particular hobbies? Do you sort of particularly like, or are you just kind of try different things all the time? Dee, do you? Well, I mean shopping.
Shopping.
Well, shopping is always
definitely
fun.
Shopping.
I have seen you as some killer avatars, I have to say. I mean, this one is magnificently cute. But I've seen you had that half skeleton, didn't you?
Yeah, she's one of my favorites. That was my Halloween outfit this year that I couldn't manage to take off for about 6 months.
So, have you had a chance to look around SL12B yet, or is that kind of something you're planning to do later in the week, next week?
We looked around a bit last week. It's all so bright and colorful. I love it. I love it.
It's amazing. After all this time, you can still be stunned by what residents come up with, can't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I like to say that I build a fabulous plywood cube, so I'm impressed with pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's me too. And people run and hide if I put two cubes next to each other and attempt to join them, because that's when things get scary. So one question that I think people are interested in is the next generation. Are you two very focused on Second Life, or are you at all involved in Project Sansar, which is the new grid?
Well, I have my hands in both, but I am more focused on Second Life. Operationally, that's kind of where my interests are. But I do have some input in various places with Project Sansar as well. So I kind of do a little bit of both, but mostly I'm focused on Second Life.
And Dee, what about you?
No, I'm focused just on Second Life right now.
And I mean, what I think is brilliant is that you guys are working on new things and bringing new things in, and new projects coming through all the time. So people were very worried when they first heard about Project Sansar, and I don't think it can be said enough that Second Life is basically thriving, isn't it?
Yeah, Second Life has a great future ahead of it still. And like I'd mentioned before, our roadmap for content production development work on Second Life, both from the viewer and the simulator side, and such, are years long. We don't have any foreseeable plans to slow that down. We thoroughly love and enjoy supporting the product, and it's been a great thing, I think, and it is for many people. And I don't see us having any plans to change that anytime soon.
That's great. And someone has asked, when will experiences be open to public use? Can you say anything about that?
I know about that. I do not know if I can speak to it publicly at the moment. I can tell you it's coming soon. But a lot of our work here lately has been basically test driving experiences to the breaking point. A lot of the projects that we've done recently, again, kind of looking at the Halloween Haunted Tour regions, the Winter Wonderland regions, and the experience that's going to come out in July, utilize every single available tool that's available to create experiences with, and we use them in fairly unique and interesting ways that we've thought up over the past couple of years, especially since Linden Realms was the start of all of that. And I think we've punished it well enough to where we're pretty comfortable with, eventually taking it public, and I think that will happen pretty soon.
That's fantastic. And then, of course, we'll see the residents do 50 things with it that weren't expected, presumably.
Quite possibly, although again, being that the moles themselves are residents, and I have quite the army of fairly adept scripters and such, I think they've thrown the book at it pretty hard. So,
and it's bounced back, and it's fine. Great. Well, it's going to be very exciting. We've had a look at experiences again on Designing Worlds, and I've been really fascinated by things that people like Loki Elliott have been trying out with it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of the folks who are in the beta program have done a lot of really interesting things with it as well, and they've done a good job.
And Loki's using it here at SL12B on his build.
Yes, that's what I saw that. It's great.
So, what would you say your hopes are for the future here in Second Life? Just, in 5 years' time, where do you see it as being?
5 years from now, I would like to see Second Life I would like to see Second Life still being as prosperous and on a trajectory of growth as it is today. That is the interesting thing. I think that's still very much at the forefront of our minds, is that Second Life continues to grow and perform well, and we continue to make additions to it. Some of the things that we are doing here lately may have some inroads and give us some learnings on how do we do X in Sansar the best way we can. So Second Life is kind of organically also providing us with a platform or test bed, if you would, to kind of inform us on how to make those types of decisions too. And I think that will only continue over the next 2, 3, 5 years even. Like I said, lots of plans. There's lots of things out there for us to continue to do with it. And if that also helps us, grow Sansar and make Sansar be, the very best it can be, I think that just is an accolade and a check mark in both columns for both products.
Well, what about you, Dee? What do you see as happening over the next 5 years?
Well, I'm actually going to second something I just saw go by in chat. I would like to see an easier way to remove all clothing when wanting to change.
Okay, I think I may have a tip about that. That you keep a base avatar as an outfit, and you can then just pull everything off at once. I'm not sure if that works in Second Life Viewer, but it certainly works in Firestorm. And then you can either put another outfit on or put things on one at a time. But
I
yes,
just make it easier for people who don't know all the tricks.
Yes, the trouble is there are so many tricks that we use. No, Joe Yardley is saying that she's always trying to get naked. Now, I don't believe that. Joe is far too respectable. Right. So, do you have, Patch, do you still make your own clothes at all? Or are you now do you just buy them now?
I just buy most of my stuff now. I haven't done anything since Sculpties were all the hotness and rage. So as far as my technical capabilities to, put together some, fabulous mesh outfit for myself even today would probably be a bit beneath my current capabilities. I'm sure I could get back into it, but it's been a while.
Yes, and have either of you experimented with making mesh or?
Oh yeah, I've definitely experimented with it, and I have made some stuff. I just, it's a fairly long technical process to get something, really good once you get down to all of the various detail layers and stuff. So yeah, I've done some simple stuff, for my own general, I can do this, type of thinking, but nothing serious for publication.
Right. And Dee, again, like me, two blocks put together is the limit.
Pretty much. Way back in the early days when I was first learning how to build, no one bothered to tell me that you could move your camera around to see if things were actually touching each other. So most of the things that I linked didn't actually touch each other. My 13-year-old son, however, has started doing some 3D modeling. And he will occasionally slide something to me to upload and see what it looks like.
Wow.
That's fun.
That must be fun, yes. So, is he a Second Life user going to?
In about 2.5 years, he will be. He's only 13.
13. What is the age limit now? I thought you could actually come in at 13.
No, 16 is our minimum right now.
Right. And then you can only go to the general regions, can't you, until you're 18?
Correct.
Right. So, do you ever see a time when you might have an area like there was the youth grid once? Do you think that would ever come back, or is it not particularly feasible to bring something like that back?
I'm going to defer to Patch on that.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
I was just saying that, do you ever see something like the youth grid coming back? Because some of the some of the other elements have come back, like the discount for non-profits and educational sims went away and came back. I wondered if the youth grid might.
What's a sim? Oh,
sorry, region. Yes.
Gotcha.
You got me.
So so Second Life, that's actually a fairly complex, it's a fairly complex topic, as I think you can imagine. The whole age thing with maturity ratings and things like that also kind of plays part and parcel into, what happened with, the original Teen Grid and Second Life. I think I can say that, with where Second Life is currently positioned as a product, the legalities around trying to introduce anything under the age of 16 to Second Life could be extremely challenging for us. Thinking forward to other products, there could be something, and we're considering all of those options, but I don't think any hard decisions have been made just yet.
Right. I know that the Teen Grid is still out there, and you can actually go and visit it now, because one of Yavanna Clanfair's pod tours goes around it, and I've done that. And it's
yeah, you're talking about the old Teen Grid, the old Mainland that comprised teen grid, which actually, funny enough, I named quite a few of the regions in.
Who got to be the person who did the cat regions? McCavity and gosh, there's a whole pile of them. I can't remember the others, but I know there's a McCavity out there.
Yeah, depending on how old the region is, would depend on who actually got to name them. You know, a lot of the original regions for the original continent and Second Life were, you know, some of the very first Lindens who were, of course, here. And after that, generationally, I'm pretty sure Jack took over that responsibility, and then I took over the responsibility following Jack, along with the rest of the team. So. At some point, you know, that torch kind of got passed on, and we all just kind of uniquely would sit down as a team and throw in a whole bunch of names into a big list, and we would kind of, you know, draw off the lists as we were putting out regions over time. So it wasn't, you know, some giant, huge, fancy process or anything like that of selecting names and which ones won and which ones didn't. It was literally everybody brainstormed together, and we put together the lists of region names, and then we put them out there.
That's brilliant. And are mainland regions still coming on stream, or have they pretty much? Do you tend to go for abandoned land, giving abandoned land out now, and not making more?
Yeah,
mainland?
we generally have not added any new supply per se as far as fresh regions. The only time we've brought new regions online is for specific projects. We are in a stable situation where we have enough pre-existing supply that we can fulfill the needs and requests that residents make for, you know, parcels and stuff on the mainland, wherever they may be. So with the exception of Zindra is actually basically almost fully occupied. So if we had ever thought about bringing up any more regions for the mainland and adding to the supply, it might be there. But again, things are kind of stable. It's like it's full, but it's not like we have a lot of requests for additional.
Someone just asked, is Magallon still alive? And I can say yes, I saw him quite recently.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
I was very fortunate.
The governor is still alive too.
Now, I'm just scrolling a bit back to pick up on a couple of resident questions. Becky, Canary Beck, asked, where is Second Life positioned as a product? And there's been some debate going on recently as to whether Second Life should be considered as a game or not. Where do you two stand on that?
It is not a game. It is a world where you can play games if you wish.
Yeah, I think we generally like to say it's a virtual world platform. And therein lies the fact that there's a lot of capabilities that the product itself brings to the table, which can be anything from, you know, socialization in a simple form in text chat to, you know, huge multiplayer complex games that can be created, you know, with experiences. So there's a lot of capability there.
So it can contain games, but it is not in itself a game.
Correct. I think we generally tend to think of it that way.
That's the way I tend to think of it. Someone is asking, where's the bears? This question has come up before.
Where's the bears?
Sometimes
in my inventory.
At some time there has been. Sometime there's been Bear Island, I think. Yes, people wondering if there was going to be Bear Island at SL12B, but it doesn't come every year.
Yeah, we tend to bring out Bear Island, you know, for milestones and such. I think the last time we had it out might have been 10B.
Yeah.
You know, when that was a milestone. I think the decision was made, and I don't think I was directly involved in making the decision to go ahead and hold off on bringing it out this year. But it's there.
And when we hit another milestone, it'll come out again.
Yeah, perhaps.
I was going to ask about the bears. Is it still a tradition that every new Linden makes a bear?
It's not per se a tradition anymore. You know, some of the newest Lindens and such that have come on board, you know, are maybe focused solely on Project Sansar, and they don't come into Second Life, so that you know, they don't really have a need to make one. But anyone who is involved with Second Life as far as new Lindens, and there are some. Yes, we do. We sit down and encourage them to make one, and we help them out if they need some help with figuring out how to get one all dressed up and decorated and stuff. And in fact, we are working on a new model to share around with everybody internally, so that you might see some new generation bears coming around soon.
That'll be very cool. I can see Shaman Linden is saying that he's making a new mesh bear kit for new Lindens.
There you go.
Very cool.
He's built it, not me.
Yeah. We can see it in blue. It's down there in blue and black. So you're still going for the approach. You're still very happy. Well, happy for people to come up and ask you for a bear.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And it's not always just bears. A lot of us have made other things too over the years and stuff. I think like one of the more elusive ones is like Guy's coffee cup.
I have a coffee cup too.
I don't even have a coffee cup.
You don't have a coffee cup?
I don't have one of my own, no, but I don't have Guy's coffee cup.
Right.
What's up with that?
And that's a key one to get. I've got a Prim Perfect coffee cup, which is very old. So you're both looking forward to carrying on with this and working on this together. I'm just getting. Oh, hang on. There's a question that. Right. So, someone's asking about the new Project Sansar. Is it going to? How's it going to deal with? I think this is probably not a question for Patch and Dee. They're asking about whether youngsters will be brought into Project Sansar, and if so, how there'll be kind of age limitations in Project Sansar. So probably not a question for you two.
Yeah, that certainly wouldn't fall in my court of expertise. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to answer that one.
Yeah. So what would you like to see more of on the grid from residents? What do you think would be quite fun if residents got into?
Let me think a minute. Unless he has something she can fill in with. I might have to think of a second here. My mind immediately went to like hunts and stuff like that, because I actually like the interactivity and the socialization opportunities that can be created by hunts. But in the same vein, what I also would like to see more of are residents actually getting their content creations and stuff in world, and their shops and stuff like that, more prevalent, and there are different ways that we're looking at trying to figure out how we can help people do this more readily, where we've maybe had a divide of folks who have had land at some point in the past where they had their store and stuff, and maybe they've migrated off to the marketplace only or something of that nature. And I'm really keen on, I'm a very hands-on person. I like to see things visually and check stuff out, where the marketplace is great for shopping in general and maybe locating stuff. I would also love to see everybody that has a great marketplace store also have a great presence in Second Life at the same time. So if there's anything I would love to see more is a kind of a combination of both at the same time happening more frequently, because I think having both aspects of that, and half of the reason why I think Second Life is as successful as it is its immersiveness. And it's hard to immerse yourself in a 2D web page with pictures on it versus actually putting yourself into the product in Second Life. So I think that we've got some work to do to make that more achievable for everybody across the board, but as well at the same time I would love to see more people engage in it as well.
I agree. It's long been a thing for me that I want to see more shops on the grid. A lot went to the marketplace, and what was really sad was a lot of stores that had previously had little stores at other places tended to pull those back, just have one main store, and then put everything else into the marketplace because they weren't, people were shopping more on the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant that things like role play sims that had used the stores to raise revenue to support their role play kind of lost. I know quite a few of the pirate sims had to cut back because there wasn't, they weren't getting the revenue from the stores, which was a real shame.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that in my early days in Second Life as a resident, one of the biggest things that I would actually had found fun and engaging and stuff, especially, this is where I made a lot of my friends and hung out with people and stuff like that, was we would go on kind of like these, communal group shopping sprees. A bunch of us would be on and we would run around and we would start store hopping and be like, oh, let's go check out so-and-so's new stuff and, go here and go there. Oh, I heard about this new store over here. Let's go check it out. And it was just like a nonstop train of, teleports from store to store to store and buying things and stuff like that. And, I think that's, kind of fits with, part of what, makes Second Life, particularly compelling is, again, kind of that immersiveness and putting yourself into it. And I would love to see, maybe some of the folks that we've lost to that come back, as well as, make it easier for people to maintain that.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And yeah, there are some things that you really can't buy on the marketplace. If you want to buy a castle, you want to go and walk it before you go and buy it, don't you?
Yes.
He totally stole my answer.
So, what would you like to see? Would you like to see sort of shopping areas as well, Dee, coming back?
Absolutely, the shopping. It's one thing to buy an outfit on the marketplace. It's another thing to, like you were saying, buy a castle. Because you want to know what the actual size is, what the room sizes are like. You want to make sure you're going to fit. Well, I'm going to fit in anything, but you are sitting on a sofa. You want to know what it really looks like once you sit down on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to see the items for sale in world is just a totally different thing there than just seeing them on a website.
And when you get to vehicles, I mean, oh my goodness, someone took me over to see a motorbike store the other night, and we were just rezzing them and riding around on them because they were just so gorgeous. And you don't get that on the marketplace. You see a nice picture and that's it. So people are saying, could Linden Lab make a shopping region with land to rent?
So we've thought about that, and we have had those types of setups before in the past. I don't know how many of you remember things like Luna and Busy Ben's and exactly. So yeah, Ucello just said it. We have done stuff like that in the past, and we've thought about maybe ways of trying to revive that. Maybe, and it is something that I've kind of got in the back of my head as a wish list item to do. We want to make it so that and as was the challenge I think with some of those types of programs is the scalability and the management overhead of them. It does take somebody to kind of keep an eye on them, make sure that they're being managed and are operating properly, and then of course when it comes time to maybe renew or, if it is kind of like that lottery type of a setup that we had once upon a time, we have to set up all of the, I guess the kind of the auctioning off or the fanfare around, publicizing and getting that kind of taken care of. We do have the vehicle to be able to auction that stuff off, and we've done that with like our other winter marketplaces and things like that. But again, it kind of goes back to team resources. I keep a fairly small, efficient, compact team, and we are capable of a tremendous amount of work. where that lies kind of in our overall, strategy and goals for what we're doing for the entire community, is what I have to take into consideration. And if it's something that I hear from a lot of people that they really would love to see come back, well, then I think that probably would earmark it up in the category of important things to perhaps try to do sooner.
Something that I've thought I'd like to see, and I don't know if it'd be totally impossible, is like the Linden home regions, which at the moment are pretty purely houses pushed together. I'd like to see, say, a Linden homes that were a sim of brownstone, say, and then they actually had like a cafe where people could go and sit and maybe listen to music, and a couple of stores.
So the Linden Homes regions do actually have community centers. In each of the themed areas, there is a community center that's built in with each of those sections on each of those little continents. I've actually heard this asked before, and I tend to wonder if we maybe need to kind of, Molly, exactly. Molly was on my team originally when she worked with me in concierge, and she went on to, create a lot of the Linden home models and stuff. And there are community centers and stuff like that there, and I'm wondering if maybe we haven't done a great job socializing them and or kind of making that known and putting them out there.
Having visited them, I think some are better than others. The Elder Glen fairy one has got like little cool things you can do, like go and catch fairies, and they give you something when you let them go, and you can sort of buy non-alcoholic drinks. Well, you don't buy them, but you can obtain non-alcoholic drinks in the bar there. But the one for the modern builds, the Meadowbank, it's kind of a nothingy sort of place, and the posters in it are very out of date. So I think it could be something that would be really cool. Yeah, Dee probably is not going to speak to me again now that I've mentioned catching fairies and how cool it is. But you release them, yeah. You let them go.
Butterbeer. I wonder if that's trademarked.
Yes, that may be. But yeah, a city theme for Linden homes would be cool, yeah.
Yeah, we've actually toyed with the idea of adding themes to the Linden homes in general. One of our projects that we actually, and I don't mind talking about this one publicly, we actually did start a project that we were going to add 4 additional themes to Linden homes, and this was back in 2013-14, I think it was. We actually did up the models. We were going to add on to the themes. There was actually one of them was a Greek theme, for example, and we were going to convert all of the Linden homes to mesh and double the object count to the parcels. But we had to stop that project because we had some priority conflicts come up, and then we ran into some developmental issues with the regions, and trying to replace all of the homes with mesh models became quite challenging to try to undertake. And there's no way for us to even humanly go through and replace every house model one by hand without some kind of automation. And that's where we actually kind of ran into a bit of a showstopper, and it's something that we haven't returned to try to solve it yet, but it is something that we were actually going to do.
It'd be quite exciting. Yeah, I'd love to get involved with a project like that, as I love the idea of using it to build communities.
Yeah, I would very much like to go back and revisit some of that stuff. One of the other cool things too, is when we look at doing little maintenance tasks and stuff, like maybe, kind of touching up the like those specific little centers or those little community areas within the Linden homes. That's something that I can probably put into one of our maintenance task lists to go ahead and take a look at. So I don't know if I've got any moles left in the audience, but I'll probably re-socialize that with them to see if it's something that we can kind of take a look at doing soon.
They've been sneaking out quietly as you start to talk about tasks. I think
more work for them.
Yes, Joe Yardley just suggested something that would be cool, which would be to perhaps give people a choice whether they take a Linden home or a Linden shop. And you could introduce shopping areas into it. It'd be cool for people to have little shops there without having to pay rent. Just a thought I'm going to throw out there.
Yeah, that would actually, that is a good idea.
Someone has just asked whether you get paid in Lindens.
No.
No. Okay, maybe that's a good question to bring this talk to an end on.
Okay.
Because, yes, we've come to the top of the hour, and I know you guys have to get away and do things. It's been great to have you here. Thank you, Dee, and thank you, Patch, for coming and talking today.
Certainly.
Thank you for having us.
And just to remind people, there will be more talks. There will be another talk at 3 p.m. with Kerry Ray, who's of Kerry and Casa Furniture. She's going to be talking at 3 p.m. Meet the Designer. At 4 p.m. we have the artist Moya Patrick will be talking. At 3 p.m. today we have Pamela Galli of La Galleria. And at 4 p.m. we have the artist Moya Patrick. And then at 5 p.m. Meet the Community. I'm going to be talking to Kaya Angel of Angel Manor Estates, where the beautiful Rose Theatre is. And there'll be more talks all this week. Going on at 9 a.m. Meet the Nonprofit. At 1 p.m. Meet the Lindens even. At 3 p.m. Meet the Designers. At 4 p.m. Meet the Artists. And at 5 p.m. Meet the Community. And our Linden talk tomorrow is going to be with Pete Linden and Ziola Linden, who I see sitting out there in the audience. So do try and come back for that one, and do try and come to some of the other talks as well. And thank you very much for coming today. Thank you to the SLB Community Celebration birthday team who've been doing keeping an eye on the Sims and making sure everything runs smoothly. Thank you very much to our camera woman, Petlove Petshop, and thank you to our stage manager, UC Galway, who has been keeping everything on track and doing a brilliant job. So thank you to everyone, especially Patch and Dee, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.